Hey guys, Ryan here for ThrillGeek. For those of you who don't know me, I've kind of been ThrillGeek's West Coast expert for the past year or so. Last March, I believe, Clint asked me to come on and kind of cover Disneyland, Universal, Hollywood, knots and stuff. That's because for the 3 years before that, I had kind of been doing my own thing. And that included covering the construction of a little thing called Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which, for those of you who don't know, is a new land that is going to be opening at Disneyland in the summer of this year, 2019, and at Walt Disney World this fall. And today I have something special I want to share. Disney recently released a lot of new info about Galaxy's Edge, and so I want to kind of take that info stuff I've kind of collected, and do a kind of walkthrough virtually of the land now a good 3 to 4 months before it even opens. So I'm going to be using a combination of Google Earth images released by Disney and their partners, and also some of our own photos here at ThrillGeek. So I'm going to start here with a satellite image of Disneyland's Galaxy's Edge. Now, this is located in the northwest section of the park. Back behind Frontierland. And this image is from June 8th, 2018, so it's a little outdated, but it gets the job done. And for those of you wondering about Hollywood studios, I'll be getting to that later on. But first, a little background on the land and stuff. So Disney is building a whole new world that has never before been seen. And this planet that we're on is called Batuu. And there's a village on it that's called Spire Outpost, and it's a remote frontier outpost. It's kind of a haven for people that want to avoid attention. But recently, the First Order and the Resistance have both set up camps here, and so that kind of causes some conflict and will allow guests to kind of choose their allegiance. Now, the land is set between The Last Jedi and the upcoming Episode 9. We're not sure exactly when, because, Episode 9 isn't out yet. I'm sure that once that comes out, and once the land opens, we'll have a better idea. But anyways, on to the matter at hand. That's a kind of virtual walkthrough. So to start out, there are 3 entrances here for Galaxy's Edge. The first one is in Critter Country by the Hungry Bear restaurant. The next one is in Frontierland off of Big Thunder Trail back behind Big Thunder Mountain. And the third one is technically from Fantasyland, also from Big Thunder Trail over near the Red Rose Tavern. Now, the Critter Country entrance can be accessed via a pathway on the banks of the Rivers of America. And the entrance is actually underneath a bridge that the Disneyland Railroad goes over. And so when you walk through this entrance, you will immediately enter into a base in a forest, and this is the base of the Resistance. And so it's heavily forested, which I guess helps the Resistance avoid detection by the First Order. And in this area, there will be plenty of ships to look at, and photo ops everywhere, so have your cameras ready. You can see an X-Wing and an A-Wing here. And this is also home to one of 2 attractions in this land. And this is Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which the building for it is highlighted in blue here. And this is a trackless dark ride that puts guests in the middle of a battle between the First Order and the Resistance. But more on that later. First off, we have to go through the queue. So there is an extended queue highlighted here in red. And guests will enter under a mobile cannon turret and follow an astromech droid's tracks, we assume it is R2-D2, into the forest. And along the curving path, you'll find these man-made caves with some ancient ruins inside. And guests will find abandoned areas that the Resistance has appropriated to their needs. And guests will then enter into the Resistance Control Center, where BB-8 will then arrive and play a hologram of Rey, who is played by Daisy Ridley. After that, guests will board a transport for a mission led by Poe Dameron. So you then walk outside, you walk past Poe's orange and black X-Wing, and onto a transport flown by Nien Nunb, voiced by Kipsang Rotich, who did the voice in Return of the Jedi and also in The Force Awakens. And you will lift off into space, and this will all be fully simulated. And you will then be intercepted by the First Order, and you will disembark from the transport through the same door that you entered into, but you will now be on a Star Destroyer in the hangar. And it will be filled with scores of animatronic stormtroopers. And guests will then be led to an interrogation room, but are soon broken out. And guests will then board onto this First Order fleet transport, which is the trackless dark ride car. Similar to Ratatouille in Paris or Mystic Manor in Hong Kong. And they are piloted by these astromech droids, which have been programmed with the ship's plans and security codes. Not much has been released about the attraction after this. This image is from a teaser for the attraction, and this is not a film set. This is the attraction itself. And just for proof of that, we have this image here, which is, I'm pretty sure it's the exact same spot, just with different lighting, and that is the attraction. Guest will be in there. It has been confirmed by Disney that the rumored 28-minute duration of the attraction isn't true. It could still be true in terms of from start of the queue to the end of the attraction with no wait could be 28 minutes long, but the actual ride itself will not be 28 minutes long. We do know that you will encounter some AT-ATs, which if you see this image and think, well, they can't actually build that, just wait farther on. You will also encounter Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, and John Boyega's Finn will also appear. And as far as those AT-ATs, this is an image from March of 2017 of them being built. I took this photo myself, and they are huge. This is an image of the exact same angle taken in December 2018. The building has been closed in. They are, at this point, 7 months out from opening, pretty much, and we just know that this attraction is inside there and will possibly be the most amazing theme park thing ever. So those were both taken from the Mickey and Friends parking structure, which is highlighted here in red. It's directly across the road from the site, had a perfect view into the site for a good 2 or 3 years before the buildings and the trees and the rock work kind of blocked the view and just gives a backstage view. Now, this leads me to an interesting thing here, because this area highlighted here in blue, I originally assumed would be a part of the attraction, possibly the exit. But in further investigation, I believe that it is Savi's workshop. First off, this is where guests will be able to custom build lightsabers with 4 possible personalities, and those are peace, justice, power, control, elemental nature, and defense. And the reason that I believe this is the site of Savi's workshop is because of this image from the construction site, and the Orabesh over the archway in the background, which is the language in the Star Wars universe. When it's translated, it says Savi and Sons Salvage. So believe this is where Savi's workshop will be. Now moving back to the entrances, this is the second entrance from Frontierland. And it currently looks like this. It's an archway made of rockwork and a wooden wall that you used to be able to look through and see the site before they put a tarp up behind it. But this, when I stand in this area, I can feel the energy, but I also see it and think of the crowds that will be flowing through it, and it will be insane. But when you enter through this archway, you will enter into the market area of Spire Outpost. The angle that you see from Frontierland is this red arrow here, kind of angled a bit, and it'll look something like this concept art. This is almost the exact same angle that it will be when you walk in from Frontierland. And here's that same angle on the model that Imagineering built and showed off at D23 a couple years back. Entering into the market from the resistance area will be this red arrow here, and it'll look something like this on the model, this large archway. This is the entrance to a farmer's market style area with like open area vendors. And this will be where vendors sell various goods. There will be the creature stall, which sells fascinating and unusual beasts from across the galaxy, including porgs, tauntauns, wampas, and raftars. It'll also be home to Toydarian Toy Maker, which is artisan-style plush characters, wood and tin toys, and instruments. And will also house the milk stand, which is where you can get blue and green milk, which will be plant-based dairy drinks. And also in this area, I believe, will be Kat Saka's Kettle, which is where you can buy the Outpost mix, which is said to have a combination of sweet, savory, and spicy flavors. Now, jumping back over to this entrance area from Frontierland, this would seem to be the central area of the land as a whole. And this is the model of that area as seen in One Man's Dream inside Hollywood Studios. The large circular yellow building is Ronto Roasters, which will have a large pod racing engine heating a barbecue pit for mouth-watering sandwiches. Just reading some of the food descriptions, it seems like a lot of roasted meat, but also not just meat. There are some vegetarian, vegan options here as well. They will also serve non-alcoholic drinks, including the Sour Sarlacc and the Tatooine Sunset, but no idea what those drinks will be like in terms of flavor. In the satellite image, Ronto Roasters is right about here, where the red arrow is pointing. Next up in the model, the building with the large cargo and food ship docked on top is Docking Bay 7 Food and Cargo. And here is another restaurant. I'm assuming it will be quick service, but it could very well be a full service restaurant. But once again, a lot of meat, but the meats take on fictional names, so chicken becomes Tip Yip and pot roast becomes shack roast. And there are plant-based options available also, which is good for vegan park goers. And in the satellite image, it is this red arrow here. It's located just up the way from Ronto Roasters. This image here is from the model on display inside Star Wars Launch Bay at Disneyland. And on the far side, as can be seen in the video that Disney released of the model, is the Droid Depot. And this is where guests can custom build droids that can interact with certain elements in the land. There will be pre-built options also, such as a C-3PO with a lot to say if you put his head on the wrong way, and a DJ Rex who will connect to your smartphone via Bluetooth and play your music. The interior of Droid Depot will look something like this. It will work something like an assembly line. And additional programming chips and accessories can be purchased to further customization. And in the satellite view, this is the general area where it is. I'm not sure about the upper left portion of it. It could just be the lower right area that is purple. But that's the general area in the land where it will be. Next up is Oguz Cantina. And this is basically the wretched hive of scum and villainy that we would expect from a Star Wars world. They will serve a variety of both alcoholic and non-alcoholic drinks. Alcoholic ones include Bespin Fizz, Bloody Rancor, Dagobah Slug Slinger, Fuzzy Tauntaun, and Yub Nub. And the non-alcoholic options will include Black Spire Brew, Blue Bantha, Carbon Freeze, and Cliff Dweller. And once again, I have no idea what any of these will taste like, be like, just that the ones that are alcoholic will have alcohol and can only be consumed inside Oguz. But also in the back corner of the restaurant is an old friend of ours. It is a DJ playing some great tunes, and it is Rex from the original Star Tours. He has taken up a job as the DJ inside of Oguz, and he's gone from piloting flights to Endor to entertaining guests inside Black Spire Outpost. Moving on, Oguz looks like it will be located towards the rear of the land in this purple area here. And now I want to take a look at the third and final entrance into Galaxy's Edge, and this will be from Fantasyland off of Big Thunder Trail. It's just around the corner from the Beauty and the Beast themed Red Rose Tavern, which was once Pinocchio's village house. And as you walk in, your angle here with the red arrow will be a large archway that you then walk through and straight into a First Order base, where there is various First Order propaganda around, and their goal is to sway the minds of the locals to favor the First Order. This is also where First Order cargo will be, and they will sell various First Order merchandise items, including some very authentic looking uniforms. And now on to probably one of the most exciting parts of this land, and that is the Millennium Falcon that will be parked in the rear of the land. And this is the Millennium Falcon in not its best shape. It's battle worn, it's got scars on it, it needs repairs. This angle seen here is from the arrow here in the satellite image, and the Falcon is parked where the blue circle is. And this is the entrance area to the second attraction in the land, Millennium Falcon Smugglers Run. Guests will enter behind the Falcon into Onaka Transport Solutions. And the backstory here is that Chewbacca has lent the Falcon to the pirate Hondo Onaka, who was previously seen on some of the Star Wars TV shows. And Hondo is looking for crews to run some smuggling deals for him. And so guests will walk through his shipping company, and it's basically a large mechanical warehouse to repair ships. So a lot of large engines and parts. Just picture a car mechanic, but in the Star Wars universe. And after this, guest will enter into a control center and meet the boss himself, Hondo, and he is the second most advanced animatronic Disney has ever built. And behind him, guest will see the Falcon in the windows, and it will lower into a loading bay. Then after this, guest will be separated into groups of 6 and given group numbers. And will then have the chance to roam the chest room of the Millennium Falcon just kind of freely. And then from here, groups will be called to then enter the cockpit and start their mission. And it will feel like the only cockpit. There are actually multiple ones, otherwise the wait would be days long. But there will be 6 guests per cockpit. 2 pilots, 2 gunners, and 2 flight engineers. And everyone will have their own task that they must do to ensure that the mission is successfully completed. This is probably the most interactive Disney attraction ever built. Your performance will affect your time in Spire Outpost. A successful mission will mean that your crew gains a good reputation, whereas a botched attempt causes you to then gain the attention of the locals, and not in a good way. The attractions building is highlighted here in blue. And the land will, of course, need restrooms, which in the Star Wars universe are called refreshers. And there's one located here in the market area, highlighted in blue, directly between the Frontierland and Fantasyland entrances. But knowing these large lands, such as Pandora, there will be more than one restroom. And using my best knowledge, I'm guessing it will be somewhere over in the Resistance Forest area. The only way I don't see this being true is if they instead say that the restrooms at the nearby Hungry Bear restaurant count as those restrooms on that side. But now, moving on to Hollywood Studios, this is a satellite image of that area taken January 2018. There are 2 entrances here. Both of them are highlighted in yellow. The first one is from Grand Avenue over by Muppet Vision 3D, and the other one is from Toy Story Land between the restrooms and alien swirling saucers. It will be nearly identical to the Galaxy's Edge in California, except for a couple things. The first one I saw is that there will only be 2 entrances, as I said, not 3. The entrance from Fantasyland into the First Order base is non-existent. There will only be the entrances to the market and to the Resistance Forest area. Also, I did an overlay earlier, and I noticed that they're almost identical except for the area of the Resistance Forest area I noticed is larger at Disneyland than it is at Hollywood Studios. And I also noticed that the extended queue area of Rise of the Resistance seems to be in the same spot that Muppet Vision's in Florida. Now, all this being said, I am impressed with how this land has come along and how far it's come. This was one of the first concept images released back in 2015, and Spire Outpost has obviously evolved, but the overall idea has been the same. It's a never-before-seen planet with a plethora of interesting characters, and it's full immersion on a scale never seen before in a theme park. But this summer, if you need me, I will be enjoying a blue bantha from Oguz, and eating a Ronto wrap from Ronto Roasters. Now, Galaxy's Edge is set to open on both coasts in 2019. Disneyland's this summer, and Hollywood Studios this fall. I hope to see you there at some point in the future, or rather, see you a long time ago.